President of Al-Auda Cleveland, the Palestine Right to Return Coalition.
Thank you, Don. And he is my co-chair, of course. Give it up for Don Bryan, please. He always works really hard to put these things together. I just want to give a big shout out to our chair from Dearborn, Al-Auda Dearborn, Abbas Bazzi, right here. He came all the way from Dearborn, Michigan to be with us. And of course, a round of applause for everybody that's here standing up against injustice in occupied Palestine, against injustice in Yemen, where Saudi Arabia, the ally of the United States government, is bombing, killing, maiming millions of people in Yemen. We surely stand against injustice anywhere, not just in Palestine. From Ferguson, from Cleveland, to Detroit, to Flint, to Los Angeles, all across the world, we stand against injustice. That's the message that we have here today. And today, Al-Auda and our allies from Kent, from JVP, Jewish Voices for Peace, we deliberately put Yemen in this rally because they are being attacked. They are being killed as well. And we need to shed some light, some really necessary light in Yemen, because we rarely hear about the bombings and the killings of the innocent Yemeni people by Saudi Arabia, which is an ally, as you all know, an ally of the United States government. We must expose them and expose that. Now, I don't know if you guys don't know, if you're outside from Cleveland, the Saudi government actually visits Cleveland very often. And their hotel is actually right down the street at the Ritz. So shame on anybody that welcomes this rogue government. This government that practices terrorism just like Israel. So we need to stand together and expose any injustice around the world. And that's what we're doing here today. We're in solidarity with Gaza, while simultaneously being in solidarity with Sana'a, with Yemen, with the Yemeni people across the world. We stand in solidarity against injustice everywhere. Syria, Lebanon, anywhere around the world. And I also just want to give my condolences on behalf of everyone here to the Jordanian people who've just suffered a natural disaster where they had flash floods, and also, I believe it was hundreds of people who were also killed in Jordan. So we stand in solidarity with them as well, and with all people around the world who are fighting for justice. It's important that we keep standing. Many of you may be thinking that we come out here and we continuously protest, we continuously demonstrate, and we don't see progress. I want to tell you that that is furthest from the truth. There is a lot of progress going on. As an activist myself, every once in a while I get somebody, a coworker from work, unexpectedly telling me, "Thank you for teaching me about Palestine." And I never had a conversation with him about Palestine. So I'm like, how do you know? People Google, people search. And if you're Palestinian and you're Muslim, people are Googling you. So guess what's going to come up? Things you stand up for, your rallies, your protests. And they're saying, it's great to know you, and by searching you and knowing you, we know about Palestine. That makes me very proud, because I remember 20 years ago, there wasn't nearly as many people that knew about Palestine. We went through hell just fighting for Palestine and bringing the right of return of Palestinian refugees, which is a natural right for anyone to return to their homeland after any war or any catastrophe, or after being occupied and dispersed from their homeland. That is something natural. Even back then, 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, when we started Al-Auda, even on the American left, with the activists on the American left, that was unacceptable. They did not want to discuss the right of return because they thought it was an idea to destroy people or to throw Jews in the sea. and it was furthest from the truth. You have to educate people. The right of return is essential to the plight of the Palestinian people. Without the right of return, there would be no Palestinian struggle at all. So it is a fundamental right. When we fight for al-Auda, or the right of return, we are fighting for over 7.2 million Palestinian refugees around the world, including Cleveland. I'm one of them. So even though I was born and raised in the United States, I still remain proudly a Palestinian refugee, wishing to exercise my right to return to Palestine, my ancestral land, Palestine. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
End the occupation now!
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 End the siege on Gaza 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 now!
Stop bombing Yemen 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 now!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Jerusalem!
Free, free Jerusalem!
Free, free Jerusalem!
Free, free Jerusalem!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
End the occupation now!
End the occupation now!
End the occupation now!
End the occupation now!
Thank you all. Don, back to you.
Thanks, Sebastian.
But guess what? It says in it that no, you can't use these bombs on civilians and you have to abide by human rights. Well, guess what? Saudi Arabia is not doing either, nor is Israel. So why in the hell are we still giving and selling weapons to these two nations? Guess what? Because a president can just say, oh, national security prevails over this U.S. arms transfer code of conduct, which is just words on a piece of paper. Let's change that. Let's put some teeth into U.S. law and make our government accountable when they're devastating nations across the planet in the goal of imperialism. Hey, I want to bring up another speaker, Khalid Samad with Peace in the Hood and the Coalition for a Better Life, who has been to Gaza at one time, a few years ago. Emir Khalid Samad.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be to everyone here. As always, I thank Almighty God for allowing me to wake up this morning and giving me breath to be here and stand shoulder to shoulder with my brothers and sisters as we stand on the square of truth, justice, righteousness, and also reciprocity. And that is something that a lot of people tend to want to not acknowledge, that people who have suffered what we call crimes against humanity, which is occupation, is a crime against humanity. Having your home stolen from you is a crime against humanity. Occupying your homeland, taking away your human rights, victimizing the people who are already victims, declaring war on people who are defenseless. These are all crimes against humanity. And so I stand here today shoulder to shoulder with all of you as we engage in a process that now may seem like a long process, that now may seem like a lonely process, but we can guarantee ourselves an understanding for those whose shoulders that we stand on, who paid a mighty price for us to be here today. And we think about all of those who died in Deir Yassin and all of those massacres that took place in Lebanon and occupied territory. The universe has not forgotten that, as well as all of us who stand on occupied territory right now. This is occupied territory. you can rest assured that the people, the indigenous people, the Lakota people who lived in this part of Cleveland, Ohio, was not paid for the land that we stand on now. This is occupied territory. I can assure you, being of African American descent, that I am one who my human rights have not been, as I say, experienced. Because I am from enslaved Africans. And my great-great-grandfather, my great-great-grandmother was a Cherokee. And she died on the trail of death. They call it the Trail of Tears. The Trail of Death that was put together by Andrew Jackson. And my great-grandfather, who was a runaway slave, never had his rights fully exercised during what we call the Jim Crow era. So we got a lot in common, brothers and sisters. But one of the things that we know, that as long as we continue to speak out, continue to support one another, continue to collaborate, continue to find out where we should or should not invest our money, what products we should or should not buy. And y'all know what I'm talking about, right? What is that called? Say it again. Say it again. So when we talk about no justice, no justice, we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. And we talking about a piece of our money. So when we say we don't get no justice, that's what we're saying. They're not going to get our money. So we got to continue to send the word out. Who should we invest in? Who should we buy our cookies from? Who should we buy our products from? Who we should not buy them from? Because that is what's going to continue to tear away at this, what we call, institution of occupation. And let me just say that on behalf of all our brothers and sisters in Gaza. I was able to visit Gaza in 2000. I love the people of Gaza, the youth of Gaza. And now those people are grown people who are probably sacrificing their lives and their bodies, fighting occupation now. So may Gaza continue to flourish. May all of those cities and all those places that I visited as a young man, going to what we call the programs of international exchange. I played basketball in Lebanon. I was able to walk the streets of Syria and stand with brothers and sisters before those places were split up. So I appreciate what I've been able to do and what I've been able to experience. And let us not forget the Rohingya. Let us not forget Myanmar. Let us not forget the people of occupied territories all over the world. And we ask the Creator to give us the strength to speak out. Last week we spoke out on behalf of police homicide. That's an injustice. That's a violation of human rights. It's a violation of human rights. What happened to Mir? A young 11 or 12-year-old boy shot dead. That was a violation of human rights. It's a violation of human rights when a man and a woman is shot 137 times in a vehicle because they thought they saw a gun that was nothing but a pop can. That's a violation of human rights. And lastly, we have a young man named Thomas Yatsko. Many of you are not familiar with him. He was shot dead on Euclid and Ford outside of a bowling alley by an off-duty Cleveland police officer named Sergeant Gargioli. No weapon, no prior offenses, no prison time, 21-year-old male that had his whole life ahead of him. We cannot forget him. We want to see the tape. So when we ask you to come out, we're going to have a mass rally because a lot of people forgot about him. The city of Cleveland gave the investigation over to the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Department. They gave it to an independent prosecutor in Franklin County, Columbus. And it's almost a year now, and we haven't seen the damn tape. We want to see the tape because it's the same kind of tape probably that they saw in Chicago, which has caused the end of a career of the police chief and the mayor of Chicago, Illinois.
So no justice, no justice, no justice. We don't get no justice. We don't get no justice. We don't get no justice. Peace.
All right.